Hi there, this is Prague Talk, a podcast from Radio Prague International. My name is Ian Willoughby. In this edition, my guest is David Mareček, Director General of the Czech Philharmonic, one of Czechia's premier cultural institutions. The orchestra, launched in the 1890s with a concert conducted by Dvořák, is based at Prague's magnificent Rudolfinum, a building that once housed the country's parliament. And it was there that I spoke to Mr. Mareček about the selection of Jakub Hrůša as next music director and much more besides. That's for this edition of Prague Talk. Last year, of course, was a big year for the Czech Philharmonic, the year of Czech music, which culminated with you going to Carnegie Hall in New York in December. What for you was the highlight of 2024?
It's difficult to say, but when you mention Carnegie Hall, I think that definitely was the highlight because the Czech president came there. We could see the warm reaction of the audience, and we played wonderful programs, 3 times sold out, and also the Prague Philharmonic Choir was there once with the Czech Phil. One concert was for the choir alone, so I think that even if you would ask the musicians, they would say the same. It was the Carnegie Hall.
And after all the excitement of last year, is this year relatively easy for you?
It's not easy in terms of lack of work or concerts, but it's something that we look very much forward. Just now, in a less than a month, we are going on a big Asian tour that starts in Taipei, then goes to Japan, then South Korea, and then in spring, La Scala in Milan, which is always a highlight because the building is simply magnificent and you can feel the spirit there, and Vienna and also Germany. So it will be an ordinary year in the best sense of the word, and we're looking forward to it.
How important is touring for the orchestra in terms of both finance or, earning money and also prestige and reputation?
It's especially important for prestige and reputation. Financially, many of the tours are in the red numbers. That means that we lose money. That's, for example, America. Whenever we go to the United States, we need sponsors, we need state support. In Asia, we can still get some money, but the most important is to be in touch with our audience abroad, because this is something that cannot be done by a live broadcast. Of course, it's better than nothing, but when you actually come to the Suntory Hall or Carnegie Hall or to the Seoul Art Center, and when you see the reaction and when the audience feel the Czech Philharmonic, that really makes the reputation of the orchestra, and that's what the generations before did, and we want to do it as well.
When you say it's loss-making if you go to America, why bother going to America when you can go to all these other places where you won't lose money?
Because we have a large audience in America. And in America, there are many of the greatest orchestras, including the New York Phil, Chicago Symphony, Boston Symphony, Philadelphia, LA Phil, and many others. And it's important to be present on the market because there is audience.
This year you announced that your next chief conductor will be Jakub Hrůša. He's going to succeed Semyon Bychkov in 2028. What were the factors that led you to choose Mr. Hrůša? What was on your kind of list of criteria?
It was quite clear when Semyon Bychkov announced that he wanted to step down in 2028. Jakub Hrůša was the only candidate because, first of all, he is one of the best conductors now. And given the fact that he's not only one of the best, he's also Czech, and he was willing to come back to the Czech Philharmonic or to come as a music director. That was important. And above all this was the concept, because we discussed for quite some time the way he wants to lead the orchestra, the things he wants to achieve with the orchestra, and that was very much in line with what the artistic committee wants, what us as the management want. And he was the only candidate, and we are happy that we came to an agreement that he will start in 28.
Is he relatively young to get such a position?
Yes and no. He is relatively young compared to Semyon Byčkov, compared to Jiří Bělohlávek, compared to many other previous music directors. But, for example, Rafael Kubelík, when he became the music director of the Czech Phil, was much younger than Jakub Hrůša is. So I would say that he is just in the right age for the position.
About your own work, what do you regard as your greatest skill, or the skill you need most to do your job here?
It's communication. That's the most important skill, because you need and you want to, and I enjoy it, speak and communicate with the musicians of the orchestra, with the conductors and soloists, with my colleagues in the building, with our supporters from the business and outside the business, with the politicians. So it's very varied, very colorful. You have to be flexible, but above all, you have to be open and try to communicate the best way you can.
And do you yourself have to be, to some degree, also a kind of politician? You're representing the organization, but you're also, I guess, charming potential people who can give you money.
I think you have to be diplomatic. Being a politician is different, because we don't take sides, but we need to speak with everybody, and I need to defend the orchestra in front of any politician, any business people. So I think the word diplomatic is the right one.
How does it work in terms of, say, for example, if you get a financial commitment from one Minister of Culture, ministers change, we can expect a change in the not too distant future. Obviously, as well, in the field of classical music, you're planning very far into the future. How do you plan for those kind of political changes and potential changes to your state support?
You cannot really plan that, because we don't know what happens after the election, despite the fact that we could see how approximately it will be, but we don't know what a coalition will be like. And we try to be in close touch with the management of the ministry. That means not only the minister, but the people who are there permanently, and with the long-term project to be discussed with the whole ministry and with all the politicians. So then we hope that it stays like that. And on the other hand, we can never predict. So we try to be ready, and we try to think long-term and to speak long-term with as many people as we can.
When it comes to your financing, how much of it comes from private sources and how much from the Czech state?
Czech state is more than a half of the budget, and private sources are now close to 20%.
And could you describe how you work with private sponsors? What's the procedure? What kind of companies do you tend to work with?
It's more the work of my colleagues from the fundraising department, but we try to put it simply. We try to build a long-term trust and a long-term relationship. That means that we don't try to get money quickly, but we try to build a relationship first, and when the relationship is established, then we usually get the support for a long time.
Are there some kinds of companies that you wouldn't like to be associated with? I don't know, for example, arms makers or other potentially controversial sponsors?
We always discuss a potential sponsor internally, and when there is a controversy within the team that not everybody thinks that we should accept, then we don't.
Prague should get, hopefully, in 2032, the new Vltava Philharmonic Hall. What is the Czech Philharmonic's plans in connection with that new venue?
We want to be one of the resident orchestras. We will stay in Rudolfinum as our main hall, but we want to play at least one big series of concerts at the Vltava Philharmonic. We want to rehearse there, and it's simply because of the size and of the quality. So, for example, if you imagine Rudolfinum, that's ideal for music of Mozart, Beethoven, even Dvořák and Schumann, and Vltava Philharmonic, anything like Gustav Mahler, Shostakovich, Josef Suk, and other composers that use, Richard Strauss, for example, that use big orchestra. So we will divide the program according to the size and to the type of the hall, and we will be in both of them.
And the Rudolfinum is an amazing place. It's a beautiful building. But does it have certain restrictions in terms of what you can do here? I mean, apart from just the size of the productions?
No real restrictions. It's really about the size. But for example, Mahler Symphony number 8 that we performed at the Prague Spring Festival couldn't be done here with audience. We still recorded the work in the hall, but this is a physical restriction.
What about the plans to have some kind of terrace on the roof here? How are they coming along?
We already have the project, and we are now talking to private sponsors because this should be a private project, and we hope that the terrace, if everything goes well, should be ready in 2 years.
And is the idea that it could be open to anybody who's just passing? You can just come in, go up, have a coffee, pay whatever number of euros?
We don't know if they can have coffee on the terrace, but the plan is to be part of the building. So whenever you go to Rudolfinum, if there is no concert, no private event, then you should be able to go to the terrace because there's one of the best views of Prague.
The Czech Philharmonic owns Rudolfinum, is that correct?
The Czech Republic owns Rudolfinum and Czech Philharmonic runs it because we are a state organization.
But you also rent it out for various events, I guess. What kind of events take place here?
All kinds of events, mainly concerts of Czech Radio Symphony Orchestra, Prague Philharmonia, the big festivals, Prague Spring and Dvořák Prague Festival, Prague Sounds Festival as well, but also concerts of film music or, for example, the Český lev and other social events. So you can imagine almost anything.
This is a slightly side question, but when it comes to your audience, do you pay any attention to where they come from? I presume the majority are Czech who come here. What percentage of your audience would be visitors, do you know?
Yes, my colleagues from the communication and marketing department, they have the exact data, and the percentage of the visitors is relatively low or lower than, for example, National Theatre. And in a way, we like it because we think that our audience is very loyal, mainly subscribers or Czech audience or people who live in Prague, because Prague is also quite international. And so that's it.
You've been working here in this position almost 15 years. How is it for you coming here every day, this amazing place and your amazing office? What's that like, having this as your place of work?
It's great. First of all, it feels like yesterday. I wouldn't say that it's 15. I know it's been almost 15 years. And I have to say that every morning when I come to the building, I feel privileged for being able to work here. So shortly, I still enjoy it very much.
I wanted to ask you also about this guy, Bryce Dessner, who is also in a rock band, the National. He is Czech Philharmonic's first composer in residence ever. How much time is he actually spending here with the Philharmonic?
Physically, not so much, because he will be soloist of one of the subscription concerts. He will play in his composition St. Caroline by the Sea, but there will be many compositions of his during the season. One of them is this St. Caroline, conducted by Jakub Hrůša, then the cello concerto that he composed for Anastasia Kobekina and will be played and conducted by Semyon Bychkov, then some chamber music by one Czech string quartet and one Danish string quartet, so it's a really full, big residency.
Is it something you're planning to do every year, to have somebody in that role?
We want to have artist or artists in residence every year, but not necessarily always composers. They can be soloists like Yevgeny Kisin, who is also artist in residence, but they can be in the future also conductors, and sometimes conductors, composers, like the case of Tom Ades, who is coming to one of the subscription concerts and will be conducting not only Kurtág and Boulez and other pieces, but also his own compositions.
When it comes to programming, how do you balance new music and the kind of well-known pieces that I guess are guaranteed to fill the hall every time?
We try to find the right type of balance, which in case of Czech Philharmonic means a little bit less of new music, but compared to previous seasons, it's now more. And it's like the menu in a restaurant. I think that the audience, the guests, they want something they know, they want something that they know they will enjoy, and at the same time we want to offer them something they can explore, and sometimes they like it, sometimes they don't, but it's always worth exploration and still having something that is certain that we know they will like.
What are the pieces that you know are always going to be a massive hit?
It's always Dvořák, New World Symphony, or anything by Dvořák. It's also Tchaikovsky that will open the season, Symphony number 5 with Semyon Bychkov. It's Beethoven number 9, so quite obvious pieces.
I've noticed in the last year or two that you are doing really active social media. For example, you had a great little video when you went to Carnegie Hall with Forgetting Mr. Bychkov. Also, you brought, I believe, Janek Rubesh, the journalist, influencer, to London and also New York. Why are you doing that?
Because we want the Czech Philharmonic to be present more widely, and it's not only about attracting audience, because thank God the concerts are mostly sold out, but we want the general public in the Czech Republic to be aware of what the Czech Philharmonic is doing, because it's representing the country, I think, in quite a spectacular way. And as I know, or I think I know Czech people, they want to be part of it when they watch ice hockey or football, and whenever there is a success there, they feel part of it. So we want them to feel part of the success of the Czech Philharmonic because it's theirs as well.
And do you feel in the longer term that you need to kind of maintain the position of the Czech Philharmonic, or are you trying to use the modern language, grow the brand?
We always try to grow the brand, but in a natural way. That means we want to incorporate more international music in the repertoire of the Czech Philharmonic, but at the same time keep the tone and keep the spirit of the orchestra as it was 130 years ago. Not in the historic way, we want to be modern, but we want to be something you can rely on and something where you feel well.
You are the biggest institution of your kind in this country and the most important, but do you feel a certain kind of competition with other European orchestras?
Difficult to say whether it's competition, because the market is for classical music is relatively small, but still big enough to have all the orchestras in it. And I think it's more of an inspiration that we look at the orchestras in Germany, for example, the Berlin Philharmonic or the Bavarian Radio. We look at the Vienna Philharmonic, Concertgebouw in Amsterdam, London Symphony, and we try to see what they do. They try to see what we do, and we can inspire each other. And of course, it is to certain limit a kind of competition, but I think it's healthy.
My final question is, you yourself are a musician, you're a pianist, and you perform and record. Given your high-pressure job, how do you find the time even to keep your playing at the necessary level?
It's quite easy because just some people, they do sports, some people play chess, some people do meditation or read books, and I play the piano. So I don't do the other stuff, and I feel that it's good also for my mind, because you say it's high pressure, it is, and it's also very quick. You have to call people, you have to speak to people, you have to write things. And when I play the piano, I'm just alone and I can concentrate. So I hope that it's also good for the job, that it makes the right balance.
Many thanks indeed to David Mareček for speaking to me for this edition of Prague Talk, podcast from Radio Prague International. If you're new to the pod and enjoyed our talk, why not check out some of the scores of other conversations in the series and subscribe wherever you get podcasts. But for now, from me, Ian Willoughby, thank you so much indeed for listening to Prague Talk, and talk to you again very soon.